Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I hope you did enjoy the lunch. As you may have seen, we were really well synchronized with the sun, the beautiful Belgium sun, and so it was really timely to start now the second part of this first day of EXPANDEO 2024. You may have noticed that this afternoon we will explore another thematic, which is about internationalization. Obviously, a significant part of the activities that EU companies are developing are outside of Europe, because obviously a lot of different challenges and needs are over there. So it's a great pleasure for me to welcome, in order to launch this second part of this day, Mr. BENJAMIN KOETZ. BENJAMIN KOETZ is Head of Long-Term Action Section, Climate Action, Sustainability and the Science Department, Directorate of Earth Observation Programs at the European Space Agency. He collaborates closely with user community and develops partnerships with key international stakeholders for long-term adoption of Earth observation information in large-scale operations. Before, he was an exploitation engineer for ESA's Earth observation program, developing new applications for image taken of the Earth. So, Mr. Koetz, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel, for the introduction. Perhaps I can have my slides up. And thank you for the invitation to present some ideas about how we can go on the, let's say, more global level. We heard a lot over the morning, actually, already, that there is a need for global expansion of the use of Earth observation. Even Mauro and also Emmanuel referred to that in the beginning. I think it's a kind of a recurrent theme over the different interventions. So I think we do see a potential, but it's actually not easy to do that, going into a regional and actually also addressing new markets in this case. So for that, you will see me using the word partner a lot, because actually we cannot do that alone. That's what I think is really the key element which is missing. So watch how these different parts comes together, but I really think the joining of these different elements is working together in different type of partnerships. So I'm not gonna preach you that there's a lot of new and very innovative and rich set of data, but what the current vision of Earth observation is the taking the pulse of our planet. That is happening. That is what you're using already. But we want to bring that at the European Space Agency to the next step, then taking action on it and making that means basically scaling that and having impact with the data on the ground in decision making and in the end also in society. With that, I think setting the scene, we have enough reasoning to do that, but also I found this kind of report from the World Economic Forum, which says that there is a lot of actually potential in terms of investment, but also in terms of business opportunities. And I'm not showing that report because I believe in all the numbers, but I show it for three reasons. One is there was investment from the World Economic Forum to actually do this report that shows there is kind of a recognition from that type of platform in that use of Earth observation. Second, it gives us some ideas about numbers, and actually also not only for economical values, but I also like it that they see that in terms of emissions, like in climate type of relevance, and try to also put that into kind of numeric context. And thirdly, for our topic today, they really break it down into regions, so having a global picture. And I just wanted to highlight here the one of the Asia Pacific is scaled by 50%. So there is not a very equal distribution of opportunities in terms of business. So keep that in mind, and we're coming back to that in a second. So that was the opportunity part in terms of what we can address. And then on the other side, and we heard that also this morning, there's a lot of push from the space side. So there was the competitiveness resolution recently signed by the Space Council together with the EU and ESA, making very clear statements about that Earth observation is very important, or actually space in general, but Earth observation always up in the front line to make impact on the policies and strategic actions in international cooperation. But in the same time, that has to be done in non-commercial space, non-space sectors, making links to commercial markets. And that is, I think, what resonates very nicely with you guys here, to make sure that this is actually put into value. Opening up worldwide markets, and with that also trusted partnerships. I also would like to highlight here that is very much linked to the global strategy from DG INPA, that in the digitalization priority, there is a lot of reference to space as a new priority, and I'll come back to that later. In the new Earth observation science strategy, actually, we also have highlighted that we do need not only new continuous science and development of Earth observation capabilities, but we also want to build that and enable that actually through partnerships and distributing actionable information. So from space to policies, there was a lot of talk this morning about different types of policies. They all have global dimensions. Here, if you look at the UN type of resolutions and policies, you have a whole armada of different aspects, which is always a driver for us. But then also on the European level, and I was a bit surprised that we don't make so much links actually between European policies and UN global policies, and I think we should make that link stronger, because I mean, many of these we cannot solve on one continent. We need to make the link and the value chains across all continents. And here we're building partnerships. For example, there's an MOU with UNEP, there's another one with FAO. We are aligning work plans. We're trying to make sure that there's really links between the technology development and the policies on the UN side, but also we have concept notes with DG Klima. We had very strong cooperations with DG Agri and RTD, sits here in the room. We have an MOU and even a secondment in RTD and DG Klima. So how we can build these partnerships and make them more, let's say, lively and really make them real. Here you see the 5 A's which we use in some of our programs to make sure that partnerships actually happen. So availability and accessibility of the data is basically covered by Copernicus. That's we all aware and we use. But then how to bring it further is really the awareness and acceptance for leading up to adoption. And you see there are different types of steps which we have to go through. And I think that is very much part of the elements of a partnership in many different settings, institutional settings, but also with the private sector. And you see with that, we really can make impact and address at scale the use of Earth observation. And that's really what we believe and we try to facilitate with our programs and also in our partnerships with other partners. So here, one of the examples is the EU-Africa initiative, where we work together on the research level together with African institutions. And you see there's also different elements needed from capacity building, but also fostering partnerships in itself, doing some of the research in making kind of tandems between scientists, but then also bring that then to national, even continental scale to demonstrate it. And this is still not the operations, but still bringing, developing the right environment to it. The next step, and that's where we're building on, is the global development assistance, where we bring together the R&D and technology, the data, and the needs of multilateral financial institutions like the World Bank, and bring in a different type of sectors to make sure that actually these kind of capabilities are visible in the international environment and gets also connected to the right financing. And there was several comments this morning actually that these are gaps, that I think Emmanuel even mentioned SMEs have had a difficult life working outside of Europe, and at least with that, we try to facilitate and open certain markets in the international context. It's a process. We have doing this kind of thing since 10 years, and it's not finished. So it's an ongoing thing. But we are active in 67 countries. You see many different products, and you also see a list of different international financial institutions as partners, and they're growing. We just had 60 people from EFAD visiting on Monday. So it's a growing demand and interest as well. So that you see actually the different ways how to bring this knowledge and most importantly transfer the skills. There is an alignment of about 70 million from within the GDA program using the finances of World Bank and Asian Development Bank, and you see the different type of financial institutions making their contributions. Then there is building again on that one. This is still kind of the European programs here to make sure that we can go the next step outside of Europe. DG INPA has the mandate to actually also invest outside Europe, and with that mandate, put that together with space, I think we're opening up a new opportunity. And you see here that we can really take global action as part of the global gateway, which has a 300 billion, let's say, aims to mobilize up to 300 billion euros to invest overall in corporations globally. That's not all going in Earth observation, I'm sorry, but it certainly is very useful and helpful to invest outside and open with that new markets for Earth observation. I give you some examples. Stefano, who is in the audience here, he brought, I think it was 25 colleagues from DG INPA last year in February to ESRAN, and there's really across the whole organization a lot of interest, and we see and we harvest the fruits from this kind of support. One example here is the Copernicus LAC, and we will have Jaime here from Chile talking very soon about that as well. It's really about the Latin American and Caribbean region. Then we have Philippines, that's on the national level, and then we have Africa, and that is upcoming with the African Union and supporting the African Space Agency. And I will go now a little bit in detail on the Latin American one to show you how that works. We launched that last year in April. We engaged with different stakeholders to develop services. In this case, we really focused on disaster risk resilience. But I mean, for example, the Copernicus LAC Center in Chile is focusing on more land surface, land cover and forest type of activities, also marine. And we also support here the data center part to really host the data of Copernicus in Panama, meaning, and also in Chile, to actually give ownership to the stakeholders in the regions. So with that, it becomes something which is not only Europe, it's actually a real partnership and something which you can use from both sides. And just the latest news, it was in May, there was a MOU signed between DG ECHO and a number of regional associations, institutions on disaster risk reduction, where the Copernicus LAC Center was actually endorsed as a center to deliver these type of services. So we really make something work. And on top of it, Panama already allocated 1.5 million on their own to actually invest in that, and there's more financing to come, which makes it a real also co-financing partnership. I'm really going to be fast on that, but you see here different elements, how to work and open up the markets, different ways of mapping the market and the requirements in Latin American and Caribbean, We work together with different European companies to put this in place, but we also have liaison officers in Panama sitting. Claudia, she was a president of one of the regional disaster risk reduction associations before. So there's a link, and we're trying to make sure that this also engages the different parts of Europe. There's a private sector engagement specifically, so you see hackathons, matchmaking on an annual level. So we have over 4 years' time really to bring people together. The first one will be actually we bring people from Latin America here in, I think it's in September, to the Space Industry Days in Aztec, and try to make the link actually in Europe with the private sector from Latin America and Caribbean. Another one is obviously the knowledge and capacity part. So there's always trainings around that. There's a digital campus already in place. Some of it will be online, but you see also every year there will be about 4 in-person trainings as well, and we have a dedicated officer to do that as well. Finally, there's from Latin America, that was the one I wanted to really go into detail, but there's also Asia being addressed through the COPFIL, so the Copernicus and the Philippine initiatives. Again, we launched it, we work very closely in co-design services here. It's agriculture, forest, and disaster risk reduction. We actually will inaugurate the data center in Manila in October. The Cloud Pharaoh will be installing the full infrastructure in October. And you see here that even has impact on the level of von der Leyen. And as there's a high potential, I pointed out in the beginning, there's already the discussion ongoing how we can extend that to the ASEAN countries. That is 10 other countries within the region. And to round up, I had a lot of discussion over the coffee breaks about Africa. There is, from DG INPA again, a 100 million program in preparation, and I'm sure Thibaut, who sits over there, will go into detail. We have been, as ESA, together with the African Union Commission, identified as implementing partners to bring in at least 2 elements of this bigger partnership, and I only go into that one, and you can fill in the part which is happening with the other pillars. But it's really focusing here on the African Space Agency. You see that on the building up there in Egypt, close to Cairo, is something which is happening. And we will try to address that with joint task forces across the different space sectors, not only Earth observation. You see the Earth observation, navigation, telecommunication, even space science. New space, we're not going to build a CubeSat, but we're going to train the right stakeholders to have the capacity to do that, and design like prototypes for this, always together as a peer-to-peer type of approach between the African Space Agency and the European Space Agency. You see then the right part of the slide here is about private sector. That's a very important part, and we have not done much on that in Africa. So I think we're really going to open new grounds on that one. There will be trainings, challenges. There will be also mentoring and matchmaking between European and African companies. And one thing which we would like to kind of pilot is, you saw Giuseppe Borghi introducing what he's doing with the PhilLab here in Europe. It has been a success in Europe. We would like to have an African PhilLab in one of the African countries, and then see how we can actually then go from there to many countries, like we do actually here in Europe in the moment with the PhilLab. And finally, in Nigeria last week, one of my colleagues is talking with Nastra. I mean, Nigeria is a small country of 230 million inhabitants. They really embracing also a national approach to bring in Earth observation capabilities from Europe. So I really look forward to work with them. So with that is my final slide to say really Africa is already a very vibrant ecosystem in terms of partnership from the EU-AU space dialogue up to data platforms and Copernicus data access. On the bottom, you see here a screenshot of the distribution of African space companies, and I hear that SP will be giving us a more detailed talk about that, about the investment globally and also in Africa, so I'm looking forward to that. And with that, I close, and I hope I made the case that we are ready to go global, and I know many of you are doing it already, but I think there's a big potential still to go. Thank you.